Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well today. And we've got a new week and we've got the gate 45. Here we go. So this week's human design weather is in the gate 45, and it's the gate of traditionally what we call the king and the queen. So it's a lot about leadership. So we've got the sun in gate 45, and it started this morning, June 7th, and it goes until June 12th. We've also got the earth in gate 26, which is the gate of integrity. So we've got the 45 up here, right, coming off the throat. And it's basically a gate of leadership. It's all about making things happen and keeping people together. It's called gathering together in the traditional I Ching. And so it's about creating the culture, the community, the tribe, whatever gathers people together. And so we start this week with two centers already defined. We've got the root down here, and we've got the sacral over here. And so again, everybody, because we're starting the week with these two centers defined and they stay defined all week, we're going to have, well, they stay defined for like 4 days, at least the next few days, the root and the sacral. And so everybody's a generator again. And so it's this 952, the channel of concentration that is, so it's the channel of 9 and 52, which is the channel of concentration that is defined. And so if you were, for example, I'm working on a book, it's a good time to sit down and write a book. It's a good time to sit down and write an article, start your blog, do things that require actually concentration and sitting down and getting a project done. And so, as I said, what they define gives everybody the energy of the generator. And so as we move into the rest of the week by, I think it's Thursday, actually the 10th, Mercury moves to the gate 39, the 52 goes away, and it becomes the gate 39. And so that creates this off the root also, which connects up to the 55, which is already in Saturn. And I'm sorry, in Jupiter. And so we have emotional energy again with the emotional energy. So get ready for it. And we're emotional again till the 15th. And then Pluto moves into the gate 61 from the gate 60. So it moves up here, and then everybody has a defined head and ajna. So not only is everybody emotional, but everybody thinks they know what they're talking about, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody is actually thinking in a holistic way, which could be good, right? That could be a good thing. So, but this forms the channel of awareness. So this forms up here, the channel of awareness from 61 to 24. And so both the head and the ajna are defined for everybody. So that'll be interesting also. And then we move into what this all means. So then we move into what the gate 45 typically means, and also the gate 26. So the gate 45, as I said, I learned it as the gate of the king and the queen. And so it's a leadership role. It's gathering together. It's bringing people together in the original meaning of it in the I Ching, it's for food. It's to sustain us. It's to create a community that is thriving and sustainable and able to go from, when we were the hunter-gatherers, from one hunt to the next. And when we, became agrarian and started creating farms and communities and different vendors around those communities, then we became much more stable, right, communities, and weren't as nomadic, for example. And so it's the nature and generally beneficial attraction of like forces. In other words, coming together to create a community, literally. It's part of the entire tribal circuit. It's actually, the subset is of the business circuit. The 45 is actually in the business circuit. And so is the gate 26, by the way. So this week is about business. This week is about being a leader and being in integrity. And the gate 26 is about the taming power of the great or the egoist. Again, these are always on what we like to call the not self side, right? So these can be the shadow effects, if you will, of these gates, but they can be, much more in integrity if you want them to be, obviously. So it kind of goes from one side to the other, right? It's the egoist, the person who's manipulative, perhaps, the snake oil salesman, the person who is trying to, hoodwink someone. And then there's the other side, which is the the gate of integrity, or the high side of it, if you will, the integrity part of it, where it can apply to a lot of different parts of our lives, right? It can apply to our bodies, and it can apply to our businesses. It can apply to our relationships and our families. Integrity can have a lot of different layers to it, as you know. So at least the description from the book with regard to the definitive book of human design calls it the maximization of the power of memory applied to the nurturing of continuity. So literally it's about education and helping people to understand what's going on with perhaps the sale of something or the creation of something or starting a business. And it's nurturing the continuity of that. So basically, being able to make not just one sale, but many sales, not just being able to start one community or one business, but many businesses and things like that. In the Gene Keys, pride is the shadow, artfulness is the gift, and invisibility is actually the CD, because the invisibility refers to the fact that the ego will go away. And I'll just get back to the gate 45 since I missed these. So the incarnation crosses this week are the cross of rulership, which makes sense, right? The gate 45 is all about leadership and bringing people together. Possession and confrontation. And then in the Gene Keys, dominance is the shadow, where it would be kind of a dominant leadership style that one might have, a much more hierarchical kind of relationship with the people that you're leading. Synergy is the gift, where we don't really need to, with all the technology we have now, Richard Rudd's idea is that synergy is the gift because we basically can work together in a way that enhances everyone. We don't need to push and pull as much. We can work together as opposed to having that hierarchy, that vertical hierarchy. We can have a much more horizontal hierarchy, right? Where everybody has the same app, whether you're working in Slack or WhatsApp or anything like that with your team members or peers or colleagues of any sort, you're able to share the data, you're able to share the information and really get the information across in a way that's much more collegial, much more egalitarian, much more inclusive as opposed to being exclusive, right? So it's all about that. And community is the CD in that he, or at least the Gene Keys say that we could actually get to the point where we don't need as much food or money or power to subsist, that we could actually subsist without all of that, which is kind of the highest level of the highest level. But he talks about it nonetheless. In fact, in the Gene Keys book, he says the bottom line of the 45th key is that in the long term, it's more effective and efficient to move together in synergy rather than waste energy in competition. So basically, his idea is that world hunger and poverty will end if we can all work together. So as I said, it is a very high and lofty goal, and I hope we get there. So there are a number of personalities born during this gate 45. Again, it's the right angle cross of rulership, juxtaposition cross of possession, and the left angle cross of confrontation. So we've got people like Barbara Bush, and interestingly, we've got her husband, George H.W. Bush, which I thought was interesting. Now they're both in the gate, have the gate 45 in their conscious sun, but they have different, some of the other gates are different. So they both have the 45 and the 26 that we're talking about this week, but they have different unconscious sun and earth. So, but that's a lot of values in common. That's a lot of leadership in one family, and that they rose to the occasion. So Jacques Cousteau, Johnny Depp, Michael J. Fox, F. Lee Bailey, the lawyer, Kanye West, Frank Lloyd Wright, Anne Frank, obviously, leadership and integrity going hand in hand there. The Olsen twins, Malcolm McDowell, and Judy Garland. So this week in history, we've got the dates from June 7th to June 12th, and a lot happens. The first week of June is typically a very international, if you will, kind of week. It's the week when we usually have the G7 going on. It's the week when there are elections for example, in England. Margaret Thatcher in 1983 won the election in a landslide victory. There are things happening that may or may not happen other times, but typically the things on the calendar tend to be leadership types of events, right? So things that include leadership. I mean, look at all the leaders are getting together in Europe this week for the G7, and then our president will be meeting with Putin, and there are a lot of meetings going on. So leadership, integrity, and whatever else is going on in the transits will play a role in those. Oh, and by the way, so those will all play a role. And so historically, in 2002, President Bush created the Department of Homeland Security after the 9/11 attacks. As I said, the G7 or G8, as it was historically, tend to meet this week, and they meet again this week. The Six-Day War happened in Israel in 1967, which was a very difficult period for them, obviously. The Catholic Church in 2002. In 2002, integrity became a big issue with the Catholic Church because they were covering up allegations, or there were allegations that they were covering up abuses by the priests, and that's when it all started. 2002 to 2010, there was a lot going on about all, and even till today, about the cover-ups and the abuse that was going on, and that's all about integrity, right? That's whole integrity issue. Edward Snowden was identified in 2013 as the source who leaked information. Again, integrity. In 1944, 5 days after the D-Day landing on June 6th, 5 of the Allied landing groups got together, and 330,000 troops got together, converged in Normandy, gathering together, right? It's all these themes, it's all these archetypes that play out in our lives all the time, and it's just interesting to watch. And then unfortunately in 1963 in Florida, actually right up the road in St. Augustine from where we live, Dr. Martin Luther King was arrested for trying to integrate restaurants in the city of St. Augustine. And so that we actually were up there over the weekend, and that area, Lincolnville, still exists, and there are plaques in many of the homes and places along those roads so that people know historically what happened there and what the history was. So again, it's to me, it's about integrity. So have a great week. You will feel a little bit like a leader. You will have a lot of integrity or not, up to you. And there will be, just FYI, besides being in retrograde for both, or for Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury retrograde is still going on, we will have a solar eclipse on Thursday the 10th, and a new moon. So place your intentions, if you will, and or if you want to. And then we'll actually move into retrograde for both the North and South nodes also this week. So it should be a little tumultuous. It should be a little interesting. It should be, I get the feeling that lots of things are still coming out in the news, and from, out from under things that are being found out, whether it's about, we'll just leave it at that. Lots of things are going on. Lots of things could be coming out and being better known as a result of the integrity that's built into this week. So keep your eyes open and have a great week. Take care.